This is Elsie, a Mega Man inspired roguelike action platformer that is a love letter to how we remember the NES days of action gaming. Within the first couple minutes of playing the game, you'll get an incredible sense of the smooth movement the game provides. The speed of combat is a thrill to experiment with as you glide through each zone, shooting bad guys, platforming, looking for upgrades. It truly is a satisfying experience running and gunning all over the place. Now this is a roguelike, so you do have plenty of opportunity to experiment with different weapons and upgrades, and as you continue you'll be collecting temporary upgrades and permanent ones, the latter growing your home base with a colorful cast of creatures to help you grow even stronger. The story treads familiar ground if you've played a Mega Man game before. Your mother, aka the scientist who built you, tasks you with finding the 8 guardians of the land to restore peace or all is lost. Now while the main story may seem a little simple, it does expand a lot as you get further along in your adventures. The other aspect of the storytelling is from the characters you find, or the ones you save in different environments. These characters will give you little stories about their past or the world, and those are nice to hear as you progress through the story, but because this is a roguelike, the story is really not the main focus. The developers Night Shift Games nailed the style they were going for. The levels are all varied, ranging from a forest, to a snowy mountain, to a molten hot factory, and a ton of different other levels that you would expect in this type of game. All these locations do a great job of making everything feel varied, and speaking of varied, there's plenty of enemy designs to keep your eyeballs happy as you shoot them all up. The music matches the tone excellently with a mixture of chiptune, electronic, swing, and more depending on which environment you're playing in. You can tell the team really wanted the music to be a strong attribute to the overall experience of the game, and I'm really digging it. Now, as satisfying as the gameplay is, there was one thing I wasn't a big fan of. There are these enemies that show up with shields, and the only way to destroy these shields is with the parry system. Just didn't feel that satisfying. Essentially, you have to parry like you would in a normal game, but then you have to wait for a little circle to go into the green circle, and then you can perform a counter attack. And I find myself constantly getting hit or being able to not time it well because I'm too busy dodging other bullets or enemies. So it was a little bit unsatisfying. Because these shield enemies show up so frequently, it does really slow down the gameplay. I find those encounters, a lot of the times I just run past them if I have the opportunity. Not a big deal, just a personal nitpick. I do want to point out I did hit this weird glitch where bosses would die in one hit. I'm playing the PS5 version, so I'm not entirely sure what happens, but just in case your bosses are super easy, you can reset, do a new run, and they'll be back to their normal difficulty. Now be aware, this game does want you to lose. It is definitely a roguelike in the sense of it wants you to play multiple times. So even if you have a really great run going, it'll end early due to story reasons of which you're trying to find the Guardian. So the playthroughs are very short. As a huge fan of retro gaming, I love how retro-coded this game was, from the music to the art to the gameplay, but one of my favorite aspects has to be the Break the Target challenge stages, which is a clear homage to the Super Smash Bros. Break the Targets. These are run and gun challenges in which you're using platforms, you're solving puzzles, you're basically doing what you did in the Smash Bros. Game. These are so fun to go through, a great challenge, a great way to break up the gameplay, to give you a little more fun movement. The bosses in this game are very strong too. They're great challenges. At the end of a pretty intense stage, it's very satisfying to fight a pretty good challenging boss with a ton of things to dodge, block, really making you work hard for that victory. Night Shift Games and Playtonic released a fantastic indie game. From its amazing visuals to its wonderful smooth gameplay, Elsie certainly has the vibe of one of those underground indie games that people will talk about years from now and appreciate that they were one of the first ones to experience. So don't sleep on this. Whether you're looking for Mega Man, an NES-style action platformer, or just a new game in general, Elsie will not disappoint.
Be safe out there.